What's up guys, Asian here again with another Elsweyr PTS video, and today we're going to be taking another look. I think this is the first dedicated video to this question, which is the new Flurry buffs. How does that sort of play out for those classes that might be able to use Flurry as a main spammable here? So, for the guys who haven't been keeping up with the patch notes, Flurry has been buffed in Elsweyr. I believe it got a 20% buff to its damage, or somewhere around 20%. So it got a nice little boost to its overall damage output, so it's more comparable now to the other melee spammables. At least that was kind of the goal behind buffing Flurry. So naturally that kind of lent to the question, is Flurry going to be a viable spammable now? And if it is a viable spammable, and this is a question that I'm going to answer further down the line, not in this video, but in a separate video, whether or not the Maelstrom Dual Wield might be making a comeback here after, it must have been at least 7 or 8 patches now. So there are basically two classes that can potentially make use of this buff: Stamsorcs and stamDKs, and that's mainly because the other 4 classes, Necromancers, Wardens, Templars, and Nightblades, they already have a class spammable. So for Nightblade it's Surprise Attack, Templar it's Jabs, Wardens have Shulks, and Necromancers are going to be using Blastbones as their kind of rotation. So Wardens and Necromancers are kind of rotating around that 3-second Shulk or the 3-second Blastbones, versus the Templar and the Nightblade, which already have their sort of class spammables. Now, stamDK arguably has a class spammable as well, as I've already showcased. Noxious Breath might be a pretty decent spammable to use on the stamDK, but you could still potentially use Rapid Strikes / Flurry instead, just because Noxious Breath obviously has a dot component to it, so you might be able to just use Rapid Strikes instead. Stamsorcs don't have any class spammable, so you're already relying on something like Flying Blade. So now that Flying Blade also got a little bit of a buff, I believe Flying Blade got a 5% buff to its overall damage. It kind of raises the question, is Flying Blade going to be better, or is Rapid Strikes going to be better? So that is what we're going to be answering today. So what I did here was I basically did 2 parses for basically 2 different scenarios on both stamDKs and Stamina Sorcerer. So we're going to start off with a stamDK here, and these results are going to be a little bit weird. I haven't really been able to get consistent results with Rapid Strikes, but I'll show you what I got from my 2 parses here. Just for the consistency's sake, I did keep pretty much everything the same, and I'll go over that when we go over each of the different classes. We're starting off first with the Stamina Dragonite, which is the character that I'm on right now. So this is the setup that I use for Rapid Strike. So I did not, like I mentioned, test Maelstrom setup here. This is going to be for a separate video, testing out the Maelstrom setup. I just, based on my gut feeling, I don't think the Maelstrom setup is going to be best for Stamsorcs, but it might be good on a stamDK, so that still remains to be seen. So you can see here, I used pretty much your standard Reliquant Perfected Locestes kind of setup here, but I did change up a few things here based on some discussion that was happening in Toxic Raiding Environment, that Discord there. So first of all, first thing I did was I decided to go with 2 max health enchants on large pieces. So you can see I have one on my helm and I have one on my chest piece. You'll also notice that I have a heavy piece on the helm. So I'm running 6 medium and 1 heavy here. So typically speaking, on my stamina DPS, I always typically run 6-1, but to maximize DPS, at least on Wrathstone right now, you do want to do 7 medium. However, there has been a nerf to Artaeum Takeaway Broth and Dubious Command Throne. They now give less max stamina and less max health. So there was kind of a question floating around as to whether or not it was better off to run Artaeum Takeaway Broth with 7 mediums, or run Parse Food and run 1 heavy piece with 2 max health enchants on large pieces. So that's going to be a video for a separate time, just because I do want to see whether or not they should make any last minute changes on the next PTS iteration. They haven't changed it yet, so I don't anticipate any changes, but who knows with ZOS, they might make this last minute change with food, but I will be exploring that in a separate video. So this is the setup that I used here for the Rapid Strikes. Then for the Noxious Breath spammable, this is the setup that I used here. So because Noxious Breath was our spammable here, I did decide to go with Molten Whip and just slot that there for the additional passive bonus, versus the Rapid Strikes where I used Rearming Trap for 1, then I used, I used Rearming Trap for all of them. So my bars pretty much remained exactly the same between both parses with Rapid Strikes. I did try out Whirling Blade as one option for a Noxious Breath, but it ended up being that it was a little bit too much sustain to bear, and you'll see that when we go over the sustain. But in terms of actual parses, so starting with the Rapid Strikes, I got one parse with 85.1k. The two Noxious Breath parses are next, so 84.3 and 84.5. And this is the most recent Rapid Strikes parse, 82.6. So there's a much bigger disparity between the Rapid Strikes parse with 85.1, 85.2, and 82.6. Versus the Noxious Breath, which is a little bit more consistent, 84.3 and 84.5. So it does seem like either option does seem to be a good choice here. Now, versus regen versus drain per second, the Rapid Strikes is going to be, I believe, a little bit more drain, so 1393 to 1453, compared to 1354, 1443, 1308, 1322. Now the Rapid Strikes 1365, 1461. Take a look at our actual resources versus stamina. See here, this is the Rapid Strikes parse, so we did have a lot of dips here and we got pretty close to zero towards the end. Versus Noxious Breath, where we didn't really have any sort of sustain issues. Same thing with this parse here, we just started going lower and lower here, but that's not that big of a deal. This Rapid Strikes parse was a little bit better with sustain. I'm not 100% sure what was going on here, so that might explain why this Rapid Strikes parse was a little bit worse, just because for some reason it seems like our resources were a little bit worse here. So this is on a stamDK. Now on a Stamsorc, I'm going to real quick jump over to Stamsorc here. So, oh boy, had a couple of UI errors. I don't think, yeah, it's not showing. Oh boy, okay, so that is what happens there. So I'm not going to be able to show you guys the graph here. It doesn't seem like it's showing up anyways in terms of sustain. Just have to use the regen versus drain. So I believe this is using Flying Blades as our spamable. Yes, this is Flying Blades spamable, 79.1k. Another Flying Blades, 79.5k, and then Rapid Strikes, 81.2 and 80.8. So you can see here Rapid Strikes did a lot better. Actually, no, this is a Flying Blade parse. So this is another Flying Blade, 80.8. Rapid Strikes, 81.2. Another Rapid Strikes, 79.5. And 79.0. So this is Flying Blade. So I believe this was actually with two different setups. I want to say it was two different setups here. No, it's not with two different setups. It's the exact same setups here. So this is Flying Blade on the Sorc. So all medium. This is with, I believe this is with the Artaeum Takeaway Broth here as our food. So we did have that one health enchant, but I did do 7 medium. So this is Flying Blade with Whirling Blades. Then Rapid Strikes with Whirling Blades. Rapid Strikes Whirling Blades. Flying Blade, Whirling Blades here. So on a Stamsorc, it does seem like Rapid Strikes is going to be a little bit stronger. So again, this is the Rapid Strikes parse, the second one, 81.2, compared to the second Flying Blade parse, which is 80.8. Then you have 79.5 with the Rapid Strikes for the first one, and then 79 is flat for the Flying Blade. Oh, I know why these are different, because I had to change something because Veldreth was not hitting on this first parse, so I had to put down something in order to kind of get Veldreth to hit, but the parses are still comparable because both of these two parses were affected in the exact same way. So it does seem like Rapid Strikes is going to be a better spammable for Stamsorcs compared to Flying Blade, just by a little bit. So it's not by but too much. So you can see here 80.8 versus 81.2 and 79.5 compared to 79 flat. So you're talking a very, very small difference in DPS, but if you want to maximize your overall DPS, Rapid Strikes does seem to be stronger on a Stamina Sorcerer. So again, this is not really, I didn't take a look at using the Maelstrom Dual Wield on the front bar. That's going to be for a separate video, and again I will kind of explain the rationale behind why we're using parse food with a heavy piece and 2 health enchants in a separate video as well. So I know you guys probably have questions about those 2 setups, so I will explain those in separate videos, just because those do take some time to kind of explain the rationale and the theory crafting behind all of it. So that is it for this video. Hope you guys found this informative. So definitely, I would say, if you haven't leveled up Rapid Strikes yet, definitely do so. It does seem to be a pretty strong option for Stamsorcs and a decent option for stamDKs. So, hope you guys found this informative, and I'll see you guys in the next dungeon.